Let's play with Sculptris first. So Alt and clicking on the empty space and then letting go of Alt while you're still clicking lets you pan, and then letting go lets you zoom in and out, going up and down. So you should have the shortcut keys of the document handout for you. So crease, rotate, scale, draw. So these are the basics. I like the move one a lot, and it's just this beautiful, super simple interface. It's a shame that Pixelogic destroyed this app. They integrated into it a little bit, but they kind of did it wrong, in my opinion. So there's a reduce brush, a reduce selected, a subdivide all brush. So if I click that one time, that's going to give us a little bit more polygons to play around with. Let me undo that. Here's the symmetry. So symmetry will make sure that this model is equal on both sides. So that way, if we go and subdivide it, it's going to subdivide it equally. So it gets a little wonky in there. So not to worry, there's a new sphere. So each of these tools, there's a global version that does the whole thing, and then there's the local version. So if I have the grab brush, and let's say I just want to like pull out the cheeks a little bit. So I grab the cheeks and pull. You'll see it moves that local area. However, if I were to hit G a second time, you'll see this little global button goes on. And now if I move it, it's going to move the whole thing. We undo that. So let's go to the basic brush over here, which is the draw brush, which is D. So I draw on there, and it's not really doing much yet. Let me hit D again. And you can see here's the strength and the detail in Q. So spacebar lets you increase the strength of the brush. Spacebar also lets you turn up the detail. If you turn up the detail, however, it's going to start subdividing your model. It's going to create all these little triangles everywhere, which is not a bad thing. It's just something to be aware of. Here's the regular, here's crease. So if you crease it, it's going to like draw in a crease into the skull. So I would say just have fun. Don't try and make anything precise yet. I would do like a skull or something like that, or something that inspires you. Just have fun with it. So if we go back to draw right now, you'll see it's not doing too much yet. But if you hold down, let's go, I guess the crease brush is working pretty well. So if you hold down Alt, Alt will do the opposite. So if I hold down Alt, it's going to bring up a crease right there. And if I let go of Alt, it's going to push in the crease under. So having edges play against each other. So bringing up in a little area, let me turn off W for a second, and then pushing Alt, and then having that bring up, and then letting go of Alt and pushing a crease back down again. That is a really fun dynamic to play with. And it's how almost every digital sculpting application works. It's how ZBrush works, and it's lets you really freely decide what you want to do with this mesh. So Alt, click an empty space to pan, and then as you're clicking empty space with Alt, let go of Alt, and then you can zoom in and out. That's using the tablet. And if you increase the detail here a little bit, what that will do is, or you could also do it through the space bar, is as you move around, and sometimes the tablet doesn't like to grab, there we go, to do it with the mouse. It's going to add more geometry. So let's do a mouth right here. So I sculpt in the mouth, and then maybe a bracket key, maybe a little smaller. There we go. So you can see it's giving me more detail than maybe I would have wanted, but that's okay. So that creases in, right? And then get a little bit closer here, and then hold the Alt key, and that's going to crease it back out again. So this works really well, and I love this application. It was been around for a long time, and so let's try adding some here. So it's not doing too much. Sometimes these brushes don't quite do what they're supposed to, because it is a free app from the download, like and it was discontinued support. We could get into ZBrush Mini and some others. The other one is if you hold down Shift, that was the inflate brush. If you hold down Shift, it's going to smooth automatically, at least it should, or just hit the B key and see it's not doing too much on there yet. Not quite sure why. Crease again, so go back and crease behind the nostril. I'm just going to hide the wireframe of the triangle so you can see a little bit better. And then, so crease the nasolabial back behind the nostril and up underneath, and then hold down Alt to bring it back out again. There we go. And inflate to just bring a little bit more detail out. And when you inflate, it will push the polygons back into each other. So as you inflate, you'll want to smooth back out a little bit as well. And there's a size, there's a strength. There we go. And you can also use the reduction brush. So there's a brush here, there's a mask, there's reduce brush Y. So if there's too many triangles, you can go through here and brush out so you don't get too many triangles of detail. The more triangles, the more complex, the larger the file is going to be, and the greater chance you're going to take long render times or crash the game engine if you're trying to rig and animate a really crazy polygon total model. You don't want to bring in millions of polygons. You can, but you need like, you know, special computer and all that good stuff. Here, go back into crease here, and again the details cranked up. Maybe it would reduce it just a tiny bit, or spacebar that, and just bring the detail down. There's not an exact number. I mean, they could have easily just put a few more options in this app, and it would have been amazing. It would have probably really given ZBrush a run for the money, which is why they bought it and killed it. There we go. So we'll go in here and hold down Alt and bring back the top of the zygomatic arch. And if we zoom back out here, you see it's looking pretty good. Let's give him some hair and some horns or something crazy, or maybe even an ear. So we'll go over here to the side, just have the crease tool, and we'll make that a little bit smaller, and spacebar, maybe not increase the detail so much, as I just want to crease in the back and underneath the jawline here, and then hold down Alt and kind of redefine that jawline just a bit. And same thing here at the chin, hold down Alt and bring up that chin bone. There we go. Looking okay. And go back here and we'll just brush in. It's a lot easier to sculpt an ear than it is to do vertex pushing on an ear. So keeping that in mind, I think we just want to do like the question mark of the ear, and I'll have handouts for you step by step how to do these, of course. But for now, this should be a lot more fun for you guys to just go in here and make a lot. Make 5 or 10 of these. Like, don't make your first one your perfect one. Practice, learn how it works. Save what you're doing. So go in here, and here's export. Here we go. Here's open. Here's save. So we save this, and let's save the head. So we'll call this head sculpt _01. And let's actually make a few. So I'm going to go A _01, and then I'm going to keep working on this. Again, bracket keys is the standard for brush bigger and smaller in most apps, including Photoshop and Corel Painter and whatnot. And bring that back out some more. There we go. So I'm just kind of slowly building up the ear on there, and then let go of that Alt button and push back in, and maybe crank up that detail a little more. There it goes. Yeah, hit W to hit the wireframe on and off, and you can see as it gets, if it gets thinner around the edge, if it gets too thin for you, you can get in a little tighter, and we can inflate and make sure the strength on inflate isn't too crazy. And we can kind of inflate that bit of cartilage, especially down here at the bottom. And we'll grab, we haven't used too much yet, hit G second time, and it does remember the brush size per brush, which is really handy. Sometimes there we go, we could pull the earlobe down just a little bit. Let me undo that and see from the front view. There we go, there's the earlobe. And if we go back to the crease tool to E, we can crease back behind that ear some more and go around. There we go. And keep on working back around we just inflated. And this brush tool, it should really be working. And it does this sometimes, and I haven't figured out what bug it is that keeps it from working properly, but I'm just kind of working around it. Same thing with smooth, like if I'm hitting shift, if I go to smooth brush, and the strength's right there, and it's just not doing anything. And I haven't opened this app in quite a while, so it might be a matter of I need to close it out and open it back up. But let's try grab, because grab's super fun. And this is what makes Sculptris unique in the subdivision being dynamic. So I'm just going to give him some crazy hair. I'm going to and some horns. So I'm going to start off right at a fun angle right here that I can grab, and I'm just going to pull. You'll see it adds triangles and subdivides while you're pulling out, which is super fun. I'm going to turn off symmetry. That'll be, we lose symmetry. It's okay. I'm just experimenting here. And now we can pull some hair out. And I'll try to make some big chunks. Pull it away from the head as much as you can. Get some big chunks of hair first. You can always add some smaller ones later. But hair is tricky. You definitely want to have some major forms from the hair first when you start, and then work your way down and do the smaller pieces afterwards. There we go. And just kind of having fun here with it. Oops. Try to move those horns. And there's a whole bunch of tricks in here I'll get into, but I just want to see how this, what the main concepts for digital sculpture are, how people in the class are going to gravitate towards these techniques, and give you an option of just how fun digital sculpting is, and what that means for modeling as opposed to just for text pushing like we've been doing. A little something there. Trying to define the hairline a bit more, so I'm just using the grab brush to pull out some more detail around the sides here. And there we go. And we'll go back to the crease tool and hold down Alt and kind of crease upward, so bringing more detail out from crease, and then let go of Alt and creasing back against it some more. So underneath it, if you want to get that cut, you want to get that cut around the horn, let it go in and then pull it back out again. So let it go in around the horn and then Alt to pull back out. And then G to grab. So if you want to grab one of these little tips here, maybe make it smaller and just kind of give it a little bit of body and volume and flow. All our common terms for hair. Yeah, smooth is not working right now. I'm gonna have to restart this app and see why it's not working. There we go. And get a little tip on there as well. Right now it's a bit blobby, but that's kind of what I'm going for. Pull that whole thing up a bit. A lot of times when we do hair caps, we forget to really give the volume of the hair it's just due in relation to the skull. So we'll kind of leave the hair almost like skin tight, almost like it was a buzz cut or a fade or something like that. So just be aware if you want to do hair, find some tutorials online and really study hair and how hair modeling works. And you'll discover that there's a lot more to hair than you would think normally. Go back into crease, hold down Alt, and do an eyelid here. Crease that down, let go of the Alt key and bring it back down some more. And Alt again, do the lower eyelid. Oh, I turned off symmetry, didn't I? That's right. I forgot for a moment there. So now I have to do two identical eyes, but this is just a rough sculpt anyway, so that's okay if it's not perfect. And go back to G to the grab brush and pull that out. Remember, if you hit G a second time and you see that global going, you just got to remember it's easy to use shortcut keys and hit them a second time on accident. And then maybe since he's got horns, he probably should have some pointy ears too, right? Everyone ready for Halloween costumes? There we go. Okay, so let's redo the reduce brush just a little bit for this guy. Go back to crease and maybe pull out some sharper edges here, push back in, and holding Alt key, pushing back in. And I'm just kind of separating some of these major masses of the hair with the crease brush, since that's the only one working at the moment. G, grab the tip there if we want to really pull out a sharp end there. We still can. There it goes. Go back to E. So just a few brushes. And these brushes that you're learning right now are going to work almost identical with Sculpt GL and with ZBrush. So this is really fun way to learn how to model, because it's a lot more freeing, a lot more relaxing. And there we go. Some more matte masses. And it's a standard now, which is really fun. It's a good change in the industry. Just using the crease brush here. So zoom back a little bit and kind of give it a quick spin around. And crease down. Try not to be too rhythmic with it. Try not to make it exactly the same on one side. Let the clumps of hair flow from into each other and crisscross each other, then go back over the top. Don't just kind of do da 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 and like you're rendering, and do the same strokes over and over again. It'll start to look really bad if you do it that way. So you want to just catch yourself and realize that you have the hair is going to flow, and depending on the type of hair, but it's generally going to flow around the skull. And switching. So I'm just going from E to G again. Grab some smaller pieces as much as I can here. And that's some good sculptural hair. We could go back into the inflate brush C, and we could kind of bulk these horns up a little bit and make them, the asymmetry really works quite well. So there shouldn't be a lot of symmetry and for horns and hair and things like that. So although I should have done the eyes first, it does definitely work to our advantage to have symmetry turned off for the hair and the horns. Maybe I'll just bring his eyes in a little closer. And we would have spheres for the eye, for the actual eyeballs, and sculpt more carefully around them. Than that, oh, that got kind of messed up. That's all right. Okay, so he's pretty much ready to go. I'll use the reduce brush. So I'll go to reduce brush Y. I'll just kind of gently reduce some of the polygons here for a moment. And you can change the strength of the reduce brush as well. There we go. We don't need all that detail for most of it. This is just a quick speed sculpt. There we go. And around underneath the jaw. You leave the detail around where it needs it, usually around the eyes and the nose and the mouth. It don't really need it in the cheek area. I think that's working okay. There it goes. Yeah, with each stroke it reduces a little bit more. Okay, it's ready to go. So we will save both the, so we're going to save the Sculpt GL file again. So give it the same name, save over the top of it, replace it. And then we're going to do an export OBJ. So we're going to do we'll call this devil head. So OBJ file. And hop back over to Maya for a moment. And I did delete that body. I didn't mean to. I meant to save the body. So we just grab this body here and duplicate it again, bring it back over. Let's grab this head, hold down X and just kind of pop it out of the way. There we go. And so I remember exactly which I guess it says it right there. So it's the 2 edge loop rows below the jawline there. So right click, go to faces, and you go up here and delete the rows where the head's gonna kind of go right back in where we need it to. Control S, save it real quick, just in case we have any errors. File, import. We're gonna grab the double head OBJ, and it does resize things, unfortunately. It's again, it's free software, so it resizes and does all kinds of weird wonky things that it shouldn't do. But even ZBrush does too, and we'll just scale it up to the size we need. There we go. And voila. Now, if you were to try and sculpt this by vertex pushing, it would take a long time to sculpt this head. But we just did it just kind of goofing around. And you can see the edge loops match up pretty good where the vertices are. Here, here, and here. So I'll go ahead and click off of that for a moment. And then the display mode's on here. So I'll turn off the wireframe on shaded to Alt-5 just for a change. Grab this, and under display options, if your model's getting real zigzaggy and there's bruising and vertices are showing up strange, go to mesh display and go to average. So kind of average everything out. And then you could go back in here and also go to soften edges, and that'll get rid of any sharp edges. So there we go. We have a little double head started for the character, and then we could easily give him a pitchfork, a tail, a little devil outfit, whatever we wanted to. And if we attach this and bring it into Mixamo, it should animate. We can do like an evil laugh for him or some kind of devilish thing that devils do. Well, not, but yeah, the wireframe is going to be a little intense. And again, that's a display, and we go to the wireframe, or in the other settings, we can actually reduce the wires from the setting in there. So make a few of them, have fun with it. Don't get stuck with any details. Make whatever you like, and I'll have the new assignment out, but we're going to sculpt several pieces of this. We're going to sculpt some anatomy on the body, and we're also going to hop over to SculptGL and assemble and see how there's some other types of sculpting that you can do in SculptGL. We'll see you on the next video.